What about now? Am I loud or what's going on? It's a little bit louder, but it's not like how it used to be. What if I set it to 10? Would that do anything? No, not really? Okay. I'm gonna set it here. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Cold Hard Feelings. And I know it's crazy. I've been gone for quite some time. I've been gone for a while, and something hit me today. I'm like, you know what? I just am gonna record something. I don't know how long this accord is going to go, but I can tell you that I have no idea what episode this is, what I'm going to talk about. I guess the main thing is just there have been a lot of issues recently, a lot of things I've had going on in my life. And, not everything has been easy. It hasn't been peachy. Not a lot of things have been going my way recently, but I'm still here. I'm still kicking, still recording. My girl left. I've changed jobs. I've been feeling pretty sick recently. Not like the flu or anything, but like kind of like that, like, oh, something's wrong type of, sick. It's nothing like life threatening that I know about. I still feel pretty good. Still going to the gym, still making content. What's this popping up here? Razor Synapse. Yeah, so, number of things have happened. You can't stop life from happening. I'm not trying to, just trying to see how it all turns out. Sorry for the creaky chair. I need to get a new one eventually. I used to play a lot of League of Legends, so I was sitting in this thing for hours upon hours upon hours for days upon days upon days. So, yeah, forgive me for that. Yeah, this is just going to be kind of a quick one. There's not really a lot for me to talk about. I guess we could start with jobs changing, I guess. First thing about the job changing was I was in the job I was in for about 8.5 years. I was doing warehouse work, and I started off, making boxes for people in our shipping department, our shippers. And I worked my way up through management to being a supervisor in the outbound department. And as nice as it was, I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed having my different crews, different people coming in and out, learning as much as I could, being able to give off some of my things that I've learned to people. It was great for a long time. Eventually, I ran into some hiccups, like, management above me changing, like higher up management changing, and, bringing in their new ideals and opinions, which may or may not have been in line with the way the company was and how things are being run, which, isn't always a bad thing, but in this case it was. There were a lot of things that were done and were said, and they weren't really the best, but hey, we made it. One of the things too about this is I need to definitely record a lot more because I've got a lot of like brain fog just from not recording and not talking about something, having a topic. So bear with me. Just going to give just the pure unadulterated version of this next episode. I think I'm just going to just release this. I know it's crazy. I'm not even going to edit this. I don't even really have like the mental energy to edit this. And I apologize to everyone for it sounding kind of, lull and melodramatic and just not up to a lot of people's standards. But you know what? The best part about this was that I got off my couch, turned YouTube off, and actually just started recording. So not really much wrong I can say about this. But back to what I was talking about, my job. So I was working as a supervisor. I was a supervisor for about 4.5 years. And I had some new management. Um, I would say we changed managers like 3 times. We changed directors like twice. And the second time we changed director, it was uh, just the most negative change I could have embraced. And, I dealt with it for a while. I did a lot for the company. Um, you know, I gave my best foot and put my best foot forward. I gave it 110% and continued to do so. But the problem was that eventually I was just being taken advantage of, and giving 110, 115, 120% kind of became the normal. And it was expected of me to give 120%. And I forgot what 100% felt like. I forgot what, my lull days of 100%, 90% were like. And so anytime I dipped to regularly 100% that I was giving my all for, then it was, you're not doing enough. You need to pick it up. You're not working to my standards, which was still, believe it or not, above and beyond everyone else in leadership at the time. And that was fine, because I'm a go-getter. I love to work hard. I love to have criticism. I love for someone to tell me that it's not enough in some cases, because if I have anything left in the tank, then I didn't give it my all, right? So I love to push and push and push harder, but the problem is that when it's a constant, it no longer becomes criticism, or should I say constructive criticism. It just becomes criticism in a way that you can do no right in their eyes. And that's kind of what it got to. And I was starting to feel the effects, mentally, physically. And I was just dreading every day I was going to work. I used to love the job, and I began waking up, waiting. I was ready for the day to be over before I woke up in the morning, and that was just not something I wanted to continue doing. I did not enjoy, feeling like that, and I know I'm not the only person on the planet that feels like that, but what I did do was decide to make a positive change. So the first thing was talking to people, in my colleagues, others in management, where there's a step below me, a step above me, because you never want to take that to your team. But I was asking them, like what their thoughts were on, the higher up management, what my performance was like, how they viewed me as a leader, how my role was. And I got a lot of feedback like, oh, you're doing a great job. There's just a couple of things you could tweak. Some say I should be meaner. Some people say I should be a little bit less relaxed. Some people say that, if it wasn't for me, the company would have burned down by now, So, it was a lot of ebb and flow, and I enjoyed it. I was happy to talk to them about it, but eventually it all came down to me really having to sit down and talk to myself about it, talk to my therapist, talk to, to anybody who was willing to listen. And I think that's, something that we struggle with. I say we, but, us as human beings, we struggle with talking about things that are bothering us and asking for help. And, I get it. I don't like asking for help, but I did this time. And eventually I decided that the next thing I need to do is just take some time, self-reflect, look at how my days are, how I'm feeling. And I decided that it was not my best interest to stay there. Unfortunately, this was back in February of this year. Unfortunately, during the time that I was thinking about this, my grandmother also passed. So, I realized that, eventually one day everybody dies, right? And you look back on it and think, did I do everything that I wanted to do in this lifetime? And if I were to stay in that job another week, I would be 90 years old thinking, man, I should have just left earlier. And I didn't want to be that. I always say that I don't want to live with regrets. And, that's almost impossible. But what I definitely don't want to do is live my life wishing that I had done something in a different manner. Not like, cause I understand, when I get to a certain point, you can't really regret things because you made the decision to do one thing or another. But I just don't want to get through the end of my life having made the decisions and knowing and finding out that they were the wrong ones, I don't like regret. I don't like look back on things and say, oh man, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done that. My life is just so terrible now. It's so crap now. No, I don't do that. But, I don't want to get to the end of the road and say, man, the decision was wrong. Oh, well, that's not what I want for my life. So, after my grandma passed, I kind of was ready to start taking a look towards myself and really asking just what do I do, So I was starting to pray. I was asking God, what do I need a sign, please give me a sign that says whether or not I should stay at this job or not. And funnily enough, on the way back from the funeral, I was like fading in and out. Like I got so sick. I had like a minor cold, but I got so sick. I mean, I couldn't breathe. I was sweating bullets. And I laid down on the couch and I woke up like 6 hours later and I could barely move. my muscles were aching and everything. And it felt like all the stress that I had felt just in general had just like been pressed from my body. And like the weight of it was all just expunged. And I took that right there as it's time to start over. Right. And so I emailed another job that had been looking for me to show up for a bit. And I was ready to schedule an interview as soon as I got better. And I scheduled the interview and I got the job. And I went into my old job and told them I was putting in my 2 weeks. And, they freaked out for a bit, but I like to believe that they survived. They did, obviously. I wasn't the herald of the place. I didn't, the place wasn't standing on its foundation because of me, right? But I did tell them, I found, another job. I can't say where, I didn't want to have any bad ties. They wrote me a card with a bunch of signatures and stuff, which was really awesome, but it was time to move on. And I did. And, I am much, much happier and much better off for it. But, there are always going to be ups and downs, no job is perfect. So, I mean, I've had my downs there. I've had my ups there, but I'm still learning it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm not really sure I can, mention what I do and all that stuff. I mean, I can talk about what I do, I guess, but, I don't know what all the legal aspects to that are. So I'm not going to mention anything, but I am very happy in my job. And, I actually wake up every morning wondering how busy I can get, how good I can make the company, and just keep being me, can't let anything take that away from me. You guys can't let anything like that be taken away from you. And yeah, I promise I'm going to start trying to get better at the uploads here. But it's been a wild ride for the past couple months, and I'll cover it as time goes on. The thing about these is that I don't really make these based on how well they do. I'm super new. Nobody knows me, that type of thing, which is fine. I'm not super worried about it. This is going to be kind of like my audio journal, and I'm just kind of like sharing it with the world, I guess. And I hope you guys like it. And if not, let me know to just not do that type of content. Don't tell me to stop, because I'm not going to stop. But if there's something you'd rather me talk about, any types of things you want advice on or anything, just let me know in the comments. If you're on YouTube, send me a message on whatever platform you're listening on or not, and just wait for the next one. Later.